Most people spend their entire lives trying to be liked, included, visible, and accepted, never realizing that the very behavior meant to secure their place in the world is what quietly strips them of influence. Machiavelli understood a truth that feels uncomfortable to modern ears. Power is not granted to those who are constantly present, constantly agreeable, or constantly available. Power gravitates toward what is scarce. It attaches itself to what is difficult to reach. It protects what is rare. The human mind is wired to assign greater value to what it cannot easily obtain, and lesser value to what flows freely. This law operates beneath culture, beneath morality, beneath intention. It is not cruel, it is mechanical. And once you see it, you begin to understand why so many good-hearted people are used, overlooked, and discarded, while quieter, more selective individuals command respect without ever demanding it. From childhood, you were trained to believe that giving more would make you more loved. Share more, help more, show up more, explain more, prove more, be more available. But this conditioning ignores a brutal psychological reality. When something is abundant, the brain stops registering its worth. It becomes background noise. It becomes expected. It becomes replaceable. Machiavelli observed this in courts, armies, alliances, and friendships. Princes who made themselves too accessible lost authority. Advisors who spoke constantly lost influence. Allies who were always present were taken for granted. Meanwhile, those who appeared selectively, who spoke rarely, who engaged sparingly, were treated as valuable assets. Not because they were better people, but because scarcity altered perception. Rarity creates gravity. It bends attention. It pulls respect toward it. When you are always available, people adjust their behavior around your presence. When you are scarce, people adjust their behavior to earn it. Think about how desire works. The object you can buy any time rarely excites you. The restaurant with no reservations doesn't feel special. The person who always answers immediately slowly loses mystery. But when access becomes limited, when response is delayed, when presence must be earned, the mind begins filling in gaps with imagined value. Humans don't just want what they see, they want what they fear losing. Scarcity activates urgency, respect, and emotional investment. Machiavelli knew that power was rarely about force and almost always about perception. Whoever controlled perception controlled outcomes. The rare individual never begs for attention. They never fight for inclusion. They never over-explain. Their absence does more work than other people's presence ever could. Most people flood the market with themselves. They talk constantly. They respond instantly. They accommodate endlessly. They make themselves emotionally accessible to everyone who knocks. They believe this makes them kind. Psychologically, it makes them common. And common things are consumed, not cherished. When you are always there, people stop noticing the effort it takes for you to be there. When you always help, they stop appreciating the help. When you always listen, they stop valuing your time. Familiarity does not breed respect. It breeds complacency. Rarity reverses this. When you withdraw strategically, people suddenly become aware of your value. They notice the space you once filled. They recognize the energy you once provided. They feel the absence and begin to reassign worth. This is not manipulation. It is how human psychology naturally operates. Machiavelli taught that the wise ruler allowed others to feel the weight of his absence, not as punishment, but as recalibration. Presence without limits erodes authority. Presence with boundaries creates reverence. Becoming rare begins with reclaiming your availability. Stop responding instantly to everything. Stop agreeing to things you don't want. Stop making yourself the emotional support system for people who never support you. Stop overextending your time, energy, and attention. Every immediate response trains others to expect access. Every automatic yes trains others to assume compliance. Every emotional explanation trains others to believe you owe them understanding. Rarity starts when access becomes selective. Not everyone deserves your time. Not every situation deserves your energy. Not every provocation deserves your response. The rare individual moves deliberately. They choose where they appear. They choose when they speak. They choose who gets emotional access. This selectivity slowly changes how the world interacts with them. People pause before making demands. They hesitate before crossing boundaries. They invest more effort to maintain connection. Because what is rare is treated as valuable. Silence plays a central role in rarity. Words are cheap when used constantly. The more you talk, the less people listen. The more you explain, the less authority you project. The more you justify, the more you appear unsure. Machiavelli warned that men often destroy their influence by speaking too much. Information should be controlled, not broadcast. Mystery is not deception. Mystery is power. When you speak less, people listen more. When you reveal less, others imagine more. When you explain less, others assign depth. The mind fills silence with perceived importance. This is why the quiet person in the room often commands more attention than the loudest one. Their words are not noise, they are events. Rarity is not distance, it is intentional presence. Another layer of becoming rare is emotional discipline. Most people are emotionally predictable. Push here and they explode. Criticize there and they defend. Ignore them and they chase. Their reactions are automatic, which makes them easy to control. The rare individual is emotionally sovereign. They do not hand out reactions freely. They do not allow moods to be hijacked. They do not become entertainment for provocateurs. Calm in chaos signals strength. Stillness under pressure signals authority. Machiavelli observed that leaders who lost emotional control lost credibility. Anger made them reckless. Desperation made them manipulable. The composed individual always held advantage. When people cannot provoke you, they cannot dominate you. This emotional stability makes you rare in a world addicted to reaction, and rarity always commands respect. Another principle Machiavelli understood deeply was the power of absence. Absence is not disappearance, it is strategic withdrawal. When you are constantly present, people see your flaws, your exhaustion, your humanity. When you withdraw, you become an idea, and ideas are perfected in the imagination. Absence allows others to romanticize your presence. They wonder what you're doing. They notice when you're not there. They value your return. Human desire grows in space. This is why artists disappear before releases, why leaders retreat before decisive moments, why influence rises when presence becomes limited. The rare individual pulses in and out of visibility. They engage fully, then retreat. They connect deeply, then refocus inward. This rhythm builds anticipation and respect. Scarcity without value is arrogance. Scarcity with substance is power. Which brings us to the deeper truth. You cannot fake rarity forever. If there is nothing behind the boundaries, people eventually lose interest. Rarity works because it protects something valuable. So you must become valuable internally. Develop skills that are uncommon. Build knowledge most people avoid. Strengthen discipline others neglect. Cultivate focus others waste. When your presence carries competence, insight,
calm and clarity, scarcity amplifies it. Rarity is not about playing games, it is about protecting your highest self from being diluted by overexposure. Machiavelli believed that a ruler must rely on his own strength, not constant alliances. The modern version of this is emotional and intellectual independence. When you are whole on your own, you do not cling. When you are capable on your own, you do not beg. When you are stable on your own, you do not chase. This independence makes you rare. People sense when someone is self-sufficient. They feel when someone is not desperate. They respect when someone can walk away. The ability to walk away is one of the strongest forms of power in human interaction. Those who need outcomes negotiate poorly. Those who can leave.
Most men will hear this and go back to giving their time away for free. A few will recognize why they've been taken for granted their entire lives, and a rare few will change how they move in the world. If you're still watching, you're already separating yourself from the crowd. Subscribe. This channel breaks down power, influence, and human psychology the way most never will. And if you want access to what can't be shared publicly, click the Join button and enter the Architect level. That's where the uncensored strategies live. Because once you become rare, once you become selective, once you become untouchable, the world has no choice but to respect you. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, stay untouchable.